Okay, so it's cookie order time. So the first step is working the dough. I set it out earlier this morning so that I could work with it now. So I've got to get these rolled out, baked, and start decorating today because I got to have them done by Friday. So I've got a lot of work to do, but we can get it done. If you don't get it, if it's not cold enough, I feel like my cookies spread more. And I like my cookies to stay, you know, sometimes sugar cookies can just flop all over the baking sheet. I feel like freezing it and working with cold dough helps that. And it keeps the form also. So we got it to where it's able to be rolled out. And can you guess what I'm doing? These are the cookie cutters that I have. I've never done Panda Bears before.
No!
So we'll see how this goes. Alright, one pan done. I have to do 2 dozen, so these are going to go in the freezer for about 5 minutes while I cut the other ones. Okay, so I've got my cookies baked. I need my spatula. I'm going to store them in this so that it's airtight and they don't dry out, which with sugar cookies, they're pretty, at least these ones are, they're pretty forgiving because once you put the glaze on there, that kind of, if you've overcooked them a little bit, it tends to soften them up somewhat. So some people like crunchy sugar cookies anyway, so I guess even if you did really overcook it, it's still gonna be alright. So we're gonna stack them. And then I still haven't made the glaze. They're still a little warm for glaze, so they need to cool a little bit before I actually start decorating them. But I still gotta figure out exactly what I'm gonna do because I've never made a Panda Bear sugar cookie before. It's a little more intricate than what I'm used to. So we shall see how this goes. I don't do a lot of cookie orders. They just randomly come in. I don't really push my cookie orders. I used to, but it's a lot of work, and when you have kids around, and I babysit my niece and nephew sometimes, and then we got Ezra, so I don't take on a lot of orders. But this one is for a friend, and her little girl specifically asked for my cookies for her birthday. Who can say no to a little girl? See, I've got 4 of them, I should know. Anyway, so I took this one on because she's a good friend. And I'm enjoying it. I'm excited about the Panda Bears. I'm a little worried. Don't tell Tracy this, but I'm a little worried because I've never done the Panda Bears, and I've been staring at the cookie picture she sent that they want me to try to recreate, and then I've been staring at my cookie. I do a lot of staring when I do cookies, and sometimes I'll even I'll trace my cookie cutter and then I'll draw it out with a pen first sometimes, just because I want to get it in my brain what I'm doing. And this one is definitely going to have to be about a 3-step cookie. Only 3 colors. I'm going to do little bows on the panda, so it's a little girl panda, and then the black and the white. So it's going to be, it may end up being 4 steps, we'll see. I try to do it as a few steps as I can, but with this one, there's just a few. Because you gotta let it dry. You gotta let your cookies dry, and then if you're building on top of that. So it's gonna be a couple steps, but we'll get through it, and I hope it turns out good and that I make a little birthday girl happy. So I'm going to divide the icing between these two bowls, and one's going to be black and one's going to be white. And I don't need quite as much black as I do white, so I'll do less black. And then I'm going to clean up in between steps because I have such a small kitchen that it really helps me if I'll just clean up in between steps. I love my house and I plan to stay here forever, but I'm hoping that adding on to my kitchen is in my future because this is where I spend most of my time, is in the kitchen, either cooking or cleaning, and I love it. I've only ever wanted to be a stay-at-home mom and wife, so yeah, I'm pretty much living my dream life. I enjoy it. We are going to start coloring the black icing, and it takes a lot. So that's probably not enough, but you really got to just start stirring it before you know how dark it's going to be. And we are still going to have to thicken this because, like I said, we're piping on this glaze on our cookie, so we are going to have to thicken it so it's not going to be this consistency. Okay, all right, just because white is white doesn't mean we don't add more white. I found that if I don't add some white food coloring to the white icing, it's instead of being white, it's like a just kind of a translucent, not so white. And I use the gel colors. Since it's a panda, I want it to be very white icing. We want the black to really pop with the white. Okay, so there you have it, the white and the black together. But now we gotta thicken it, and I still have to stare at my cookie some more before I figure out exactly how I'm gonna go about this. Yay! Natalie just got something awesome in the mail. Alright, she's officially graduated. We already had the ceremony, but now she has the certificate to prove it. Oh yeah, I'm done. So now we're on to thickening it. So I had a bad night, and by bad night I mean got home from church late and I left my dishes sitting in the sink. So before I can get started on my cookies, I'm gonna have my coffee because that's important. I don't have it every morning, but today's a coffee morning. And then I'm going to clean up the kitchen because the cookies don't have many steps left. I just have to do the white for the panda and the bow and the eyes. The eyes are gonna take 2 steps because I gotta do white and then a black for the pupil. So there's a couple steps left, but I should be able to finish them today. I think I can finish them today. Anyway, so that's the plans today. But I gotta get my coffee down me first so I can face it all. Okay, so I stored this overnight since I didn't have time to, the cookies weren't quite dry last night when I checked them. Anyway, so I put plastic over it and stored it. It has a crunchy layer if you get into it the next day, but that's okay. You just have to mix it up until it's smooth again. The good thing is, since it's set overnight, it's not as runny as it was yesterday. I'm still gonna have to thicken it up just a tad because I'm gonna need it a little thicker to put it on my little panda bears. This definitely stores well overnight, and since it's only water, corn syrup, and powdered sugar and almond flavoring, there's nothing that will spoil. This is like a royal icing. It's not exact, but I'm not crazy about the royal icing flavor. It's fun to work with, but I prefer a cookie that tastes good and looks good. So this is what it looks like dry. They're not that super shiny. Now they resemble the royal icing. The royal icing seems to be a little drier to me. I don't know. It's almost the same ingredients as royal icing, just I think the corn syrup is the only thing that's different. But since I'm trying to save time, I'm piping and filling all in one step, so that's why I needed to do this thinner consistency. See how much thinner that is? And when you go to thin this icing, you want to be careful because you can go from too thick to too thin really fast. Thin, and you don't want too thin because then you really cannot control your lines. So there we have it. Now I just have to do the eyes and the little bow. It's gonna go on this left ear right here. Right ear. That's the right ear. And what I gotta do is I gotta do white on the eye and then a little black dot. So then these little guys will be finished. I'm really enjoying these. I was afraid of them when I first got the picture from my friend, but I'm excited about them now. It'll probably be, I don't know, I may be able to do them tonight. It just really depends on if they dry fast, and you never know how quickly it's gonna dry. Honestly, I think it depends on the weather. If it's humid outside, they seem to dry slower. So I may have to wait till tomorrow morning to finish them up. But they are almost finished and I'm very happy. Okay, it's another easy meal today. I'm doing nachos and I use ground venison as usual until I run out, and then hopefully it gets to be hunting season before I run out of my ground venison. So we're doing nachos, and I just brown my meat, add taco seasoning, and I do canned cheese because that makes everybody happy. Otherwise, there's one kid, Nicole Cherie, who does not like I used to do it with Velveeta and Rotel. She can't stand nachos if I do it that way. So I do it with the canned cheese, and we just put toppings on it. So something I add to my venison, because it doesn't have little if any fat. So I add butter to my venison when I cook it like that. It just gives it a little bit of fat, and actually, because since I use the iron skillets, and they like oil. Okay, we are now on to the final-ish step, and don't pay attention to this. I made a big mess out of it. I'm too lazy right now. Just want to get them done. So we're going to make the bow, but it's going to be another step because we got to dry these lines first. So we just want to make a little bit of curved edges on the triangles. Okay, and then start the middle And curve the edges of the triangle. So it's a triangle with rounded edges. So what we're going to do is we're going to let it dry. I've got color all over my nails. I'm messy today. So we're going to let it dry, and then I will add a little round in the middle. I'll do a little circle in the middle, and then I'll fill in the bow. But I gotta let this dry first so that I'm going for kind of a bubbly looking bow. Anyway, so we're almost finished with these little panda girls. Aren't they adorable?